You are specially welcome to this segment of the program. Inuagata Musahai is still my amiable name, and I've been on the series on the topic different leadership styles and their impact on workplace dynamics. And in the School of Leadership, democratic leadership style, which is one of the 6 leadership styles, focuses on participation and inclusion. The leader gives opportunity for team members to bring their minds to the table, thereby resulting to outstanding and creative decision making. But there is a caveat. If the democratic leadership style is overused, it's going to lead to time wastage under circumstances where urgent decisions need to be reached. So it's going to lead to delay, and sometimes it even leads to confusion when you have to over deliberate on issues, especially under emergency situations. That is why a smart leader is very good at knowing that this leadership style is good for this situation, and then when the main goal objective has been achieved with that particular leadership style, the team leader is able to shift or transit from that leadership style to another leadership style, maybe for example the coercive leadership style. And in the School of Leadership too, the coercive leadership style is the do as I say leadership style. It is the classic command and control leadership style. And this kind of leadership style, the coercive leadership style, is very useful in managing crisis. It's very helpful under emergency situation. It's very, very strategic when you are, trying to resolve matters of serious indiscipline. But now, if the objective, if the goal of the coercive leadership style has been achieved, and a leader continue to hold onto that coercive leadership style, which is the do as I say leadership style, the command and control leadership style, when the leader still continue to hold onto it, after resolving a crisis, after attending to issues of serious indiscipline, after managing that emergency situation, when the leader continue to hold onto the coercive leadership style, that leader may get to that level of demoralizing his team members, because team members can now feel overwhelmed, they can now feel micromanaged, and this has, it has even resulted in losing good hands in teams, in organizations. Like I said, the leader should be smart enough to know that, this time around, there is a need for me to shift to leadership style. Now, the template or the model we have been using on this series, it has been on using case scenario, approach to see that we bring these insights to light in a very practical way. And the case scenario we are looking at this morning is how the Commissioner of Agriculture in a particular state in Nigeria was able to, engage the democratic leadership style, which was initially the wrong leadership style for that crisis situation, and then when he saw that it was wrong, he quickly shifted and transited to the coercive leadership style to achieve and manage that particular crisis. So we are going to look at the case scenario this morning, and the topic or the title of the case scenario is choosing the right leadership style during a food emergency. Now I go into the case scenario proper. Following weeks of severe flooding, several communities were cut off from major markets, resulting in an acute shortage of food supplies across the state. Prices of essential food items rose sharply, panic buying increased, and many households struggled to sustain basic necessities. As public anxiety grew, the Commissioner for Agriculture convened a large meeting involving ministry officials, local government representatives, farmers associations, transport unions, market leaders, and other stakeholders to determine the best response. Now, this is democratic leadership style in place, all-inclusive, participatory kind of leadership style. That was the initial leadership style the Commissioner of Agriculture in this state attempted using to manage this food crisis in this state. Now, let's go further. Believing that broad participation will produce the most acceptable solution, the Commissioner adopted a democratic leadership style. Everyone was encouraged to express opinions, debate alternatives, and recommend actions. While the discussions were productive, they became lengthy. This is always a problem with democratic leadership style, when it comes to trying to use it to resolve issues of emergency, trying to use it to manage crisis. They became lengthy. Conversation became lengthy. Different groups proposed conflicting priorities, and no immediate agreement was reached. Meanwhile, food supplies continued to diminish. Queues at markets became longer, and public frustration intensified. Valuable time was lost while the emergency worsened. Recognizing that the situation demanded immediate action rather than prolonged consultation, the commissioner reassessed the approach. The leadership style was quickly changed to a cohesive one. Clear directives were used without delay. Emergency food distribution centers were established. Available government food reserves were released immediately. Transportation of food to affected communities was prioritized. Inspection teams were deployed to monitor compliance with emergency directives, and officials were assigned specific responsibilities with strict reporting timelines. Non-compliance with emergency instructions attracted immediate administrative consequences. Now, this is the outcome of adopting this cohesive leadership style in this case scenario. Within a few days, food distribution became more organized, supplies gradually reached affected communities, panic buying reduced, and market conditions began to stabilize. Although some stakeholders initially felt excluded from the final decisions, many later acknowledged that the decisive response prevented the crisis from escalating further. That is what the cohesive leadership style do. They do, as I say, command and control kind of leadership style. Is able to make sure that situation doesn't get worse. That is very important. The experience reminded the commissioner that while participation is valuable, emergencies often require prompt, firm, and coordinated leadership. Now, there are two leadership lessons we can glean from this case scenario as I begin to move towards the concluding page of this broadcast. Leadership lessons from the case scenario. One, leadership styles are situational. It is not a one-size-fits-all approach. You should know that this is the right leadership for this situation. It is time to shift, and it's time to adopt this other leadership style. Leadership styles are situational. A style that is highly effective for policy development or long-term planning may become ineffective during an emergency where speed, clarity, and decisive action are essential. When it comes to issues of policy development, long-term planning, democratic style is very helpful. But when it comes to resolving emergency crisis, cohesive leadership style is what you bring on board. Number two lesson from this case scenario: effective leaders are adaptable. Effective leaders are adaptable. Strong leadership is demonstrated not by rigidly following one preferred style, but by recognizing when circumstances require a different approach and having the courage to change course quickly. That is what makes you an outstanding leader or an effective leader. Not just your technical competency alone, but your ability to shift from one leadership style to another as situation changes. I believe that profound value, a premium one for that matter, have been added to you today. Send your questions, your inquiry across straight to my email, inuaghata@gmail.com, inuaghata@gmail.com, and I'll send the feedback back to you. I will see you next week, Wednesday. When I return, my name will still remain the amiable Inuaghata no Sahai. Your day is so blessed. Thank you.